In this section, you will hear a conversation between a university student named John Helstone and Professor Dorfman from the School of Computing Technology, discussing the upcoming Computing Technology 25th Conference. You have half a minute to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good morning. I'm interested in getting some information about the Computing Technology 25th Conference, such as the dates, enrollment procedures, and costs.
Sure. Let me provide you with the details. The conference runs for 4 days, from September 15th to 18, and it's being held at the Pacific Hotel, not the university campus as in previous years.
I see the Pacific Hotel. And can I make accommodation arrangements at the hotel?
Yes, you'll need to contact the hotel directly to book your accommodation.
Okay. And what are the registration fees?
The individual fees are $360 for the 4-day conference, or $100 per day if you only want to attend for 1 day. There's also a 50% student concession, so that's $180 for the 4 days or $50 per day.
Great. That's helpful. I was wondering if I could still offer to give a talk at the conference, even though I may have missed the deadline.
Well, you'd need to speak with Professor Dorfman, who is organizing the conference this year. I can put you through to him if you'd like.
Yes, please. And could you confirm the spelling of his name? Is it D-O-R-F-M-A-N?
Yes, that's correct.
Professor Dorfman speaking.
Hello, Professor. My name is John Helstone, and I'm a computing technology student from London University. I'm here in Australia for 3 months, and I'm interested in giving a talk on my research at the conference. But I believe I may have missed the deadline.
Well, the closing date was last Friday, but we may be able to include your paper if it fits into our program. Could you send me an outline of your talk, no more than 300 words, and a short CV?
Okay, I can do that. Would 400 words for the outline be okay?
No, not really. We need to keep it to 300 words since we have to print it in the proceedings.
Understood. I'll make sure it's within the 300-word limit. And where should I send the outline and CV?
You can email it to the Conference Administrative Officer at admin@tanuconf. ADULL.
Great, I'll do that right away. Thank you so much for your help, Professor.
Okay. We hope to see you in October then.
That's the end of part 1. You have half a minute to check your answers. In this section, you will listen to a lecture discussing the versatile and aromatic spice, ginger. First, you will have time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Ginger is a spicy and aromatic root that is related to the bamboo family. It has been used in medicine and cooking for over 50 years, originating in the southern provinces of China and India. The early traders who discovered ginger brought it to many parts of the world, including Nigeria, the West Indies, Central America, East Africa, and Indonesia. Ginger became extremely popular due to its exotic and aromatic properties, and was highly valued by spice traders in the 17th and 18th centuries, who were able to sell it for a good price in Europe. Although Australia is now the largest producer of ginger in the world, it was not grown in the country until the early 20th century. Ginger is a personal favorite spice of the speaker, Jennifer Johnson, who has a number of wonderful recipes to share later in the program. Ginger has 100 different uses in the kitchen and is a great favorite today, despite being a fairly recent addition to the list of Australian agricultural produce.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have half a minute to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Apparently, some raw ginger found its way to an area about 100 kilometers north of Brisbane in Queensland earlier this century. The high rainfall and humidity in this region created perfect conditions for growing ginger, and it became well established. However, the relatively high cost of production initially put it at a disadvantage compared to cheaper ginger produced in other countries. In 1941, during the Second World War, the supply of ginger to Australia started to run out. This provided an opportunity for the Queensland growers to expand their production and sales. 5 local farmers came together and formed a cooperative association in a place called Boodarim, starting with only 25 pounds between them. The company began with 2 wooden vats and 14 tons of raw ginger, but it went on to become the most successful ginger farmers in the world. Now, nearly all of the world's ginger comes from the Boodarim Ginger Factory in Queensland. 40% of the production is used within Australia, while the remaining 60% is exported to destinations like Europe, North America, South Africa, and even back to Asia, where ginger originated.
That's the end of part 2. You have half a minute to check your answers. In this section, you will hear a conversation between an interviewer and Dr. Parkinson, discussing the topic of global warming. First, you have half a minute to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Dr. Parkinson, global warming was a major concern in the 1980s, but it seems to have faded from public attention. Why do you think that is the case?
You're right. The focus on global warming has shifted. I believe scientists have become preoccupied with determining whether global warming is actually happening, and, if so, whether it is caused by human activities.
After all, a greenhouse effect is a natural phenomenon, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. Naturally occurring gases in the atmosphere act as insulators, preventing heat from radiating into space.
And the concern is that this insulating layer might be getting thicker.
Precisely, which could lead to the Earth's temperature increasing.
The latest prediction we've heard is that the temperature will rise by about 1/3 of a degree every 10 years. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this prediction is quite challenging to make. You see, the global climate is influenced by a complex web of factors. It's difficult to say for certain that a simple action, like adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, will have a predictable effect or even cancel out other effects.
I understand that verifying this prediction is also quite challenging.
Exactly. The Earth's temperature naturally fluctuates over time, making it difficult to detect long-term trends. The best way to measure global temperature change is to focus on the temperature of the oceans, as they are less affected by seasonal variations compared to land masses.
So, understanding the role of the oceans is crucial in understanding how the global climate works.
Yes, that's absolutely right. The oceans play a vital role in transporting heat around the globe, acting as a vast reservoir of heat. Even a small change in sea surface temperature can represent a significant change in the amount of heat the oceans are storing.
Before listening to the rest of the conversation, you have half a minute to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
I understand you are looking at ways of improving the measurement of ocean temperature.
Yes, for a long time, we've been using thermometers in buoys and ships to measure ocean temperature. But now, we have a more promising system being utilized.
I believe satellite technology has also been used for this purpose.
Yes, that's correct. The European Along-Track Scanning Radiometer, or ATSR, is a satellite-based system that is orbiting the Earth and providing very accurate temperature measurements.
Can you tell me more about the ATSR system and its capabilities?
The ATSR has been in orbit for 2.5 years now. It's an infrared detector that can sense the Earth's temperature with great accuracy, which is crucial for separating random temperature changes. It covers the entire Earth every few days, generating large amounts of data. Additionally, it measures the temperature from 2 different angles, allowing for correction of any atmospheric effects on its readings. The ATSR has a field of view of 500 kilometers and can measure temperature to within 0.3 degrees Celsius.
And this system is expected to continue operating for years to come?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Dr. Parkinson, for providing us with this information. And now, over to. That's the end of part 3. You have half a minute to check your answers. In this section, you will listen to an assistant discussing preventative medicine and healthy lifestyle choices. First, you will have time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning. I'm Assistant, and I'm here to talk to you about preventative medicine and how patients can take charge of their own health. The key message is that patients should wrest control of their health away from medical practitioners and take responsibility for their own medical destiny. The first and most important step is for patients, particularly young men, to make healthier lifestyle choices. Smoking is the biggest threat to health, and it's self-inflicted damage, so quitting smoking should be the top priority. Young working-class men are at high risk of premature death due to their unhealthy behaviors, such as excessive alcohol consumption, heavy smoking, poor diet, and lack of exercise. Environmental factors also play a role, and the effects of the sun, in particular, are often underestimated. Too much sun exposure can cause permanent damage, so it's important to take sun safety seriously. While some illnesses are unavoidable, a well-funded education campaign can help improve public health standards, especially for young men. By making healthy lifestyle choices, people can reduce the incidence of illness and reduce their need for medical intervention. The key is to make fitness and exercise enjoyable. Finding a sport or activity that you enjoy and doing it with others can make it more fun and sustainable. The university is a great place to find like-minded people and join sports teams. However, it's important to warm up properly and be mindful of the risks of sports injuries, both accidental and repetitive strain injuries. Cross-training, where athletes borrow techniques from other sports, can also be beneficial. This can help improve overall fitness, coordination, and performance. And it's not just for elite athletes. The benefits of good health are accessible to everyone.
That is the end of part 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.